This is one of the most dangerous videos I've ever shared with you, because after this, every introvert will realize the truth about their power. You've been told your silence makes you invisible, that your stillness makes you forgettable, that being an introvert means you fade into the background when louder people enter the room. But what if that silence wasn't weakness? What if it was leverage, an ancient biological weapon you were born with but never taught to use? After this, you'll never look at your quiet nature the same way again, because you're about to discover the hidden frequency inside your nervous system, the same one predators and leaders use to command attention, control rooms, and alter emotional climates without a single word. There's a current radiating from you every second of your life. You can't see it, you can't hear it, but everyone else feels it. It's invisible, yet it's the first thing people notice about you. That current decides how people perceive you before you even speak, whether they trust you, respect you, or dismiss you entirely. And here's the truth that most of the world never learns. You've been sending this signal unconsciously since the day you were born. You've been broadcasting it while trying to fit in, while overthinking your words, while wondering why you feel drained in loud environments. You thought you were shy. You thought you were low energy. You were wrong. You were just unaware of your own signal. You see, introverts are not lacking presence. They're leaking it. Every moment you doubt yourself, every time you shrink your body language, every time you break your gaze to avoid being seen, your nervous system emits a broadcast of submission. Not because you're weak, but because your emotional current is untrained. You're not invisible. You're transparent. And the world feels your uncertainty before you ever say a word. But that can change. Because presence is not about volume, charm, or performance. It's about frequency, real influence. The kind that can silence a crowd or make people listen in absolute focus comes from nervous system control. It's not mystical. It's not charisma. It's biology. And introverts, by design, have a biological advantage in mastering it. Why? Because they feel more. They sense more. Their awareness runs deeper. They notice emotional shifts others ignore. That sensitivity, once trained, becomes power. Quiet power. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself, because it shapes the atmosphere. Most people stumble through life trying to get attention. They speak louder, they move faster, they force laughter, all to be noticed. But introverts don't need to chase presence. They generate it naturally once they learn how to direct it. You were never meant to out-talk the world. You were meant to tune it. And when you learn to do that, people won't just hear you, they'll feel you, long before you ever speak. Chapter 2. The Invisible Frequency. Inside introverts. Every introvert carries a hidden transmission, a quiet, electric pulse flowing beneath the surface of their calm exterior. You felt it, even if you couldn't name it. It's that subtle awareness when you enter a room and sense tension before anyone speaks. It's the unease that creeps in when someone's energy feels wrong. It's the peace that follows you when you're alone and grounded in your own thoughts. That's not imagination. That's the frequency your nervous system has been broadcasting and receiving your entire life. And for introverts, that frequency is naturally more sensitive, more refined, and far more powerful than you realize. When most people walk into a room, their nervous systems are noisy, buzzing with scattered emotion, stress, or the need to perform. But introverts walk in like tuning forks. You don't just see people, you feel them. You pick up their emotional residue, their subtle anxiety, their excitement, their hidden irritation, long before it reaches their face. This is why crowded environments drain you. It's not social anxiety. It's sensory overload from absorbing too many conflicting frequencies at once. Your system isn't fragile. It's highly attuned. You're processing emotional data others can't even detect. This sensitivity is your superpower, but only when you learn to control it. Because right now, most introverts operate like open antennas, taking in everything without filtering anything. That's why you leave conversations feeling exhausted or unsure why your mood shifted after spending time with certain people. You weren't imagining that change. You were syncing to their nervous systems. That's how the human body works. It's a constant emotional exchange, an invisible network linking every person in a space. And in that network, introverts are the most powerful receivers. The problem is, most never realize they can also be transmitters. You've spent your life reacting to energy. Now, it's time to learn to radiate it, to flip the current. because the same depth that lets you absorb emotion can also project it. Calm, confidence, authority, peace. These aren't things you fake, they're frequencies you emit. And the more you anchor your nervous system, the stronger that signal becomes. Loud people rely on noise to fill silence. Introverts command silence until noise bends around them. Think of someone you've met who barely spoke but seemed to control the entire space. Maybe it was a leader who spoke slowly, choosing words with precision, or someone who entered a conversation with quiet eyes that made you lower your voice without knowing why. That's not intimidation, that's energetic dominance. Their nervous system had coherence, meaning every muscle, breath, and heartbeat was aligned with their emotional state. When you reach that level of coherence, people feel you before they even see you, and introverts are wired for this. You already live in your inner world. You process before you act. You notice before you react. That inward focus, once disciplined, becomes something extraordinary. The ability to create emotional gravity. You don't chase attention anymore. It moves toward you naturally. People find you calm when chaos breaks out. They look at you for reassurance. They trust your silence more than others' words. Why? Because your nervous system isn't leaking confusion. It's transmitting clarity. Every time you choose to center yourself instead of competing for noise, you're training your frequency. Every breath you control, every pause you own, every silence you allow becomes part of your broadcast. You stop mirroring other people's chaos and start setting the emotional rhythm. That's when the world begins to respond differently. Conversations change. People listen longer. Eyes turn towards you. Not because you're loud, but because your stillness feels stable in a world addicted to noise. That's your real advantage as an introvert. You were never meant to shout to be seen. You were built to make silence speak for you. And once you understand that, you stop trying to escape your quiet nature and start wielding it. Because silence isn't the absence of energy. It's the purest form of it. Chapter 3, The Science Behind Presence, Mirror Neurons, and the Quiet Advantage. If you've ever wondered why people sense your mood without you saying a word, there's science behind it. Human beings are wired for emotional synchronization. Our brains contain a network of cells called mirror neurons, microscopic antennas that copy and internalize the emotions, intentions, and movements of those around us. It's the biological reason you yawn when someone else yawns, but it's also why a calm person can settle an entire group, and why one anxious person can infect a peaceful room within seconds. Now here's where introverts come in. Your system doesn't just mirror emotion, it magnifies it. Research shows that individuals with heightened empathy, deeper internal processing, and increased emotional awareness, traits most introverts share, have more active mirror neuron responses. In other words, you don't just read emotions, you absorb them. You experience them as if they're your own. This is why arguments drain you, crowds overwhelm you, and fake people exhaust you. Your brain is simulating every emotional tone it detects, running multiple invisible tabs, open at once. And when that energy isn't managed, you end up carrying the emotions of everyone else long after they've left. But this is where your quiet advantage begins. While most people react impulsively to energy, introverts observe before responding. Your natural pause, the silence others misinterpret as hesitation, is actually neurological sophistication. During that pause, your mirror neurons are decoding tone, micro-expressions, body posture, and intent. You don't just hear words, you sense what they meant to hide. You've likely noticed this. When someone smiles but something feels off, when a compliment sounds too calculated, when the energy in the room shifts and nobody can explain why. That's your neural radar at work. And here's the twist. Mirror neurons don't only read, they transmit. When your internal state is calm and coherent, others unconsciously begin to sync with you. Their breathing slows, their tone softens, their aggression weakens. You can literally regulate the emotional temperature of a room without a single word. It's not charisma, it's coherence, your nervous system leading theirs. The most magnetic leaders in history didn't win people with volume, they won them with stillness. They projected an energy of control, and everyone else's biology followed. Think about that for a moment. Your quietness isn't the opposite of influence, it's the purest form of it. Extroverts may flood rooms with volume, but introverts command them through resonance. You don't capture attention by invading space, you shift its frequency until people unconsciously turn toward you. That's the science of presence. It's not about personality. It's about nervous system dominance. Whoever has the most coherent nervous system wins the room. The good news? Coherence can be trained. It starts with awareness. When you enter a space, notice how your body reacts. Does your chest tighten? Do your shoulders rise? Do you feel smaller when surrounded by louder energy? That's your signal being disrupted. The key is to ground yourself. One deep breath, one slow exhale, one silent observation before speaking. That single act begins to reset your internal rhythm. Within seconds, your mirror neurons stop absorbing chaos and start broadcasting order. This is why introverts often make extraordinary therapists, negotiators, and leaders. Once they master their signal, their silence feels trustworthy. Their gaze feels anchoring. People can't explain it, but they lean in when an introvert speaks, because the body recognizes safety before the mind does. It's the unspoken code of influence. Biology obeys calmness, and that's your edge. The world is addicted to overstimulation, constant talking, noise, projection. Everyone's trying to be heard, but few are truly felt. You, on the other hand, can turn your biology into presence. You don't fight for attention. You let attention come to you, because when your frequency steadies, the room adjusts itself around you. That's the quiet advantage no one teaches you. You were never competing with extroverts. You were playing a completely different game, one where silence is strategy, awareness is power, and your biology does the talking for you. You're not introverted by accident. You're designed to feel deeper, process longer, and lead without ever raising your voice. And once you start mastering that, you'll understand something most people never will. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You just have to be aligned. Chapter 4. The Unseen War of Frequencies. How Loud People Dominate Rooms. Every room is a battlefield, not of words, but of frequencies. Long before anyone speaks, energy decides who leads and who follows. Most people never notice this invisible war because it doesn't make sound, but introverts feel it immediately. You walk into a room and sense it, that strange pressure in your chest, that sudden heaviness, that pull to shrink yourself so you don't disturb the atmosphere. That's not shyness. That's your nervous system reacting to a flood of external signals. Loud people project chaos. Their emotions are unfiltered. Their anxiety, ego, and restlessness spill into the environment like smoke. When they enter a room, they force their frequency outward, hijacking attention and bending the space around them. It's not confidence, it's volume. And for most introverts, that volume feels suffocating. You can feel their need to be seen. You can sense their desperation to fill silence. The tragedy is that your nervous system, being highly empathetic, automatically starts sinking to their energy to restore balance, draining your own reserves in the process. That's why, after long interactions, you feel exhausted. Your body wasn't just being social. It was performing emotional cleanup. It was absorbing tension, filtering it, stabilizing it, like an emotional air purifier in a toxic room. You're not socially weak. You're biologically sensitive. You feel the turbulence most people ignore. And while others leave the room feeling charged, you leave carrying what they couldn't handle. But here's the shift. Once you recognize that energy exchange, you can stop reacting and start controlling. The key isn't to fight noise. It's to anchor silence. When loud frequencies crash against you, your power lies in stillness. Every calm breath you take realigns your nervous system's rhythm, signaling, I am not absorbing this. The moment you stop reacting to chaos, you start dominating it, because the body follows the calmest signal in the room, always. It's biology, not metaphor. Watch closely next time. In a room full of anxious movement, the stillest person holds the most gravity. Their presence feels heavy, not because of tension, but because their energy doesn't leak. They don't need to speak to be noticed. The human nervous system unconsciously locks onto coherence, the signal of control. And introverts, when trained, emit that signal effortlessly. So yes, loud people dominate through distraction, but introverts dominate through direction. One is temporary noise, the other is lasting influence. Your silence unnerves those who rely on performance. It makes them stumble, talk faster, fill space, because they can feel your composure reflecting what they lack. The louder they get, the quieter you become, until they start sinking to you. This is the unseen war of frequencies. The chaotic try to overpower the calm. The calm absorb, learn, and eventually lead. The next time a loud room drains you, remember this. You're not losing energy. You're learning to wield it. Because in every room, power doesn't belong to the noisiest person. It belongs to the one who doesn't need to prove they have it. Chapter 5. The Quiet Revolution. Turning stillness into command. There comes a moment when an introvert stops apologizing for their silence, and the entire world begins to adjust. That's the beginning of the quiet revolution. It's not loud. It doesn't need validation or applause. It begins in small moments. The pause before you speak, the calm in your eyes when others panic, the confidence to let silence stretch until it becomes your ally. Stillness isn't the absence of power. It's where power gathers. Every breath you steady, every word you withhold, every moment you refuse to fill with noise is a signal to the world. I am not seeking your energy. I am shaping it. When you realize this, conversations shift. Meetings bend. People start waiting for your response instead of talking over you. That's not luck. That's neurological gravity. Your nervous system broadcasting calm authority so consistently that others unconsciously surrender to it. Think of stillness as emotional gravity. It pulls everything toward it. The more grounded you are, the more the world organizes around your pace. Leaders, negotiators, even predators rely on this principle. The one who controls the tempo controls the outcome. Most people rush to speak, to prove, to react. But true command lives in the person who can wait. The one who can hold eye contact without flinching. The one who can let a pause hang so heavy that others break it just to escape the tension. That's your quiet revolution. You don't need to mimic extroverts. You need to master rhythm. Control your internal timing, and you'll control every interaction. Stillness turns you from a passive observer into the emotional metronome of the room. When your pulse stays steady, others match it. When your tone stays calm, theirs softens. When your gaze stays stable, their uncertainty rises. It's not manipulation, it's resonance. You were never meant to shout your presence into the world. You were meant to radiate it. Stillness is your language, your armor, and your command. Let others chase attention. You attract it by existing in alignment. The revolution begins, not when you get louder, but when you realize silence was your dominance all along. Chapter 6. The Magnetic Field of the Introvert. Making people feel you before you speak. There's a reason people glance up when you walk in, even when you say nothing. It's not coincidence, it's magnetism. Every human body emits a subtle electromagnetic field, and the nervous system amplifies it with emotion. For introverts, this field runs deeper, quieter on the surface, but far denser underneath. You don't flood rooms with energy, you saturate them. People may not know why they feel it, but they do. They sense a depth that most conversations never reach. Here's what happens beneath the surface. While extroverts broadcast outward, introverts radiate inward coherence. Your stillness holds shape. Your emotions don't spill into chaos. They spiral inward, creating gravitational pull. It's why calm people draw attention without effort. The body recognizes safety and power instinctively. When your breathing slows, when your tone settles, when your eyes stay anchored, others' nervous systems begin syncing with yours. They feel steadier in your presence, and that sensation feels addictive. That's what people call a magnetic vibe. It's not mystery, it's biology. The challenge for introverts is that this magnetism leaks when doubt takes over. When you question how you're being perceived, your signal fragments, your presence dims, and people unconsciously feel that instability. But when you stand grounded, no performance, no facade, your energy becomes cohesive again. You don't need to speak to be seen. You just need to be centered. Try this. Before entering any room, pause, feel your breath, let your shoulders drop. Focus on the space around your heart, not your thoughts. That's the frequency reset. Within seconds, your nervous system stabilizes and your field expands. People won't know what changed, but they'll feel it. They'll look your way without understanding why. This is the magnetic field of the introvert. Silent, stable, unexplainably powerful. You were never invisible. The world just wasn't tuned finely enough to feel you until you learned to broadcast with intention. Chapter 7. The Final Transmission. Reclaiming your signal. You've always been broadcasting, long before you knew it. Every sigh, every glance, every silence sent signals into the world. Some days it radiated calm strength. Other days it leaked self-doubt and fear. But now you know the truth. Presence isn't random. It's programmable. The same nervous system that once betrayed your insecurities can now become your instrument of influence. The world teaches noise. It rewards those who perform, interrupt, dominate. But you've seen through that illusion. Real control belongs to the person who can remain still when others chase attention. Your signal doesn't need volume. It needs alignment. Because once your inner world steadies, your external world bends to match it. That's not philosophy. It's physics. Energy sinks to coherence. Always. From this day forward, your silence is no longer empty. It's charged. Every breath, every pause, every calm glance is a command. When you walk into a room, you no longer enter its atmosphere. You set it. Because introverts don't win by competing in noise. They win by mastering tone, the emotional frequency beneath all words. But mastery comes with responsibility. The same presence that can calm fear can also inspire devotion, loyalty, even obsession. Use it with intention. Broadcast peace, not manipulation. Confidence, not control. Let people leave calmer than they arrived. That's true influence. Leaving nervous systems better than you found them. Here's the final test. The next time you walk into a room, don't rush to speak. Just observe. Feel the air, the rhythm, the hidden current. Then choose your signal. Ground your breath. Steady your heart rate. Align your focus. Let silence stretch until others start to sync with you. That's not dominance. That's mastery. Because the real power of introverts isn't that they say less. It's that when they finally do, the world listens differently. You've reclaimed your signal. You no longer leak it unconsciously. You broadcast it deliberately. And that changes everything. From this moment on, your presence is no longer accidental. It's intentional. You don't enter rooms anymore. You reshape them. Chapter 8. The experiment. Test your quiet frequency. Understanding is useless without embodiment. You could read 1,000 theories about calm presence, but until you test it in motion, it's just knowledge. So now comes the experiment. A challenge that doesn't require words, confidence tricks, or extroverted behavior. Only awareness. This is how you test your quiet frequency, the signal that has always been there, waiting to be mastered. Step 1. The silent reset. Before you enter any room, pause. Just 5 seconds. Don't adjust your posture or your expression. Instead, drop into awareness. Feel your breathing. Relax your shoulders. Notice the tension around your chest and jaw. Let them soften. This isn't meditation. It's alignment. You're syncing your nervous system into coherence, the baseline from which presence radiates. When you move again, do it slowly, deliberately, as if every step broadcasts a calm signal. Step 2. The observation phase. Walk into a room or conversation and say nothing for the first few moments. Just notice. Observe people's tone, pace, gestures. Don't analyze. Absorb. Watch how emotions circulate. Who's dominating the space? Who's holding back? As you tune in, your mirror neurons will start mirroring their state. But here's the trick. Don't attach to it. Just witness. When you can see the emotional map of a room without being swallowed by it, you've already begun to lead. Step 3. The grounded broadcast. Now, take control. Slow your breath again. One long inhale, one longer exhale. Relax your body into gravity. Feel your heart rate drop. That's your frequency resetting. Watch what happens next. People will unconsciously adjust their posture. Conversations will slow. Someone might glance at you, uncertain why they suddenly feel calmer. That's the broadcast. You didn't speak. You didn't perform. You simply radiated alignment. Step 4. The awareness loop. Afterward, reflect. Did the room's energy shift? Did someone open up, smile more, or lower their tone? Even if no one says anything, you'll feel it. That subtle, quiet expansion. That's your presence extending outward. The goal isn't to impress. It's to feel the field move when you stabilize your signal. Do this experiment for 7 days. Test it in lines, meetings, stores, cafes. Say less. Breathe slower. Observe more. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Watch how people react without knowing why. You'll start to see it. The invisible power that was never missing, just untrained. This is your initiation into control. Not control over others, but over your own signal. You've proven that influence doesn't require volume. It requires vibration. From this moment on, you don't chase attention. You attract it. Because now, every quiet breath you take reshapes the emotional frequency around you. The world won't know what changed, but you will. Chapter 9. The Whisperer's Power Library. You've made it here, to the end of the transmission. But endings are illusions. This isn't the end. It's the threshold. What you felt through these chapters, the stillness, the alignment, the quiet pull that changes rooms, that's not theory. That's your new baseline. You've activated something ancient, something that doesn't scream for attention, it draws it. Every calm breath you take from now on carries a different charge. Every silence you hold creates space that others rush to fill. You no longer chase presence, you are it. That's what this whole journey was really about. Not learning new tricks, but remembering the quiet power that was already written in your design. This is where the Whisperers begin. Not as a group, not as a label, but as a mindset. A frequency of humans who influence reality without shouting. The ones who don't need to prove, perform, or explain, because they've already calibrated their signal. You've joined them now. You're part of that invisible network of quiet operators, the ones who reshape energy instead of wasting it. Your next step isn't to speak louder. It's to live deeper. Practice stillness. Test your signal. Observe the world until you start to feel its rhythm bending slightly toward yours. That's when you'll know you're transmitting. And if something in these words struck a chord, if you felt seen, understood, decoded, don't let it fade back into routine. This is your reminder to keep expanding. Keep tuning your frequency. Keep walking into every space with the awareness that you create the tone others follow. Because you're not here to fit in. You're here to shift the frequency of every room you enter. Quietly, precisely, deliberately. So take a breath, look around, and remember, the world doesn't need another loud voice. It needs a calmer one that everyone feels. Now that you know your signal, your silence will never be the same. Every pause you hold, every calm breath you take, it changes how the world reacts to you. People will sense it before they understand it. That's your new language. Presence without performance. But this is where the real challenge begins. Can you hold that stillness when pressure rises? Can you walk into a room and let your calm speak louder than their chaos? Because this is what separates those who watch from those who transmit. So here's your test. For the next 7 days, speak less, observe more, and notice how the energy bends towards you. That's the signal working. The quiet revolution already in motion. And if this video hits 50,000 views, I'll release the sequel. The one even the manipulators don't want you to see. The world gets louder every day, but those who master silence rewrite it. So don't scroll away. Comment, frequency received, if you felt the shift. Because you didn't just learn your signal, you became it.